So picture this. You are at the grocery store, pushing your cart past the rows of colorful fruits and veggies. And there it is, celery, tall, green, crunchy sticks bundled together like nature's very own snack pack. For most people, celery is either that boring thing they dip in a peanut butter or something that ends up forgotten in the crisper drawer until it goes limp. But here's the thing, celery is so much more than just rabbit food, especially if you are in a game of cutting fat, muscle building, or just trying to eat clean without feeling deprived. Now, before we get into the benefits, let's rewind the clock for a second. Celery actually has a surprisingly rich history. It is not just some modern day diet fad. Celery's roots literally go all the way back thousands of years. The ancient Egyptians and Greeks did not just eat it, they used it medicinally. In fact, in ancient Greece, celery leaves were more woven into crowns and used as prizes for athletes. Imagine winning a championship and instead of a gold medal, you are wearing a celery crown. That is how important this plant was in early sports culture. Later on, the Romans considered celery a bit of a delicacy, almost like a luxury food. Fast forward to 1800s, and celery became a status symbol in Europe and America. People would literally put stalks of celery on their dinner tables to show wealth, kind of like a centerpiece and a flex at the same time. Funny how something so common now was once the equivalent of driving a fancy car. So, how did celery sneak its way into modern fitness circles? That is most tied to its reputation as a native calorie food. You have probably heard that term thrown around before. The idea that certain foods burn more calories to digest than they actually provide. While that is not 100% accurate in celery's case, it is true that celery is extremely low in calories, about 10 calories per large stalk, and it is packed with water and fiber. Over time, as diet culture grew and people started focusing on weight loss, celery earned its reputation as the ultimate cutting food. What actually makes celery so useful when you are trying to get lean? First off, satiety. One of the hardest part about cutting weight is managing hunger. You know that feeling when you are on a calorie deficit and suddenly everything looks like a snack, even your dog's kibble. That is where celery comes in clutch. It is mostly water and fiber, which means you can eat a lot of it, chew for a long time, and fill up your stomach without racking up calories. Beyond just filling you up, celery comes with some sneaky health perks. It is natural source of antioxidants, vitamins like vitamin K and vitamin C, and minerals like potassium. Potassium's huge for anyone who works out because it helps regulate muscle contractions and fluid balance. If you have ever dealt with cramp mid-leg day or during a long run, getting enough potassium is one of the ways to keep that under control. Celery also has compounds like apigenin and luteolin, which basically act like little firefighters against inflammation. Let's not forget hydration. When you are sweating buckets during a workout, you are losing water and electrolytes. Celery is about 95% water and it also carries those electrolytes we mentioned, like potassium and a touch of sodium. Think of it as nature's little hydration stick. Is it going to replace your sports drink? Probably not, but snacking on celery post workout can actually help replenish fluids and balance your system without added sugar. Now let's talk about the drawbacks because no food is perfect. For one, celery is not exactly nutrient dense compared to other veggies like spinach, kale, or broccoli. If you only rely on celery for your veggie intake, you will definitely miss out on a lot of essential vitamins and minerals. Another issue is that celery is high in soluble fiber, which for most people is great. It keeps your digestion moving. But if you suddenly eat a ton of celery when you are not used to that much fiber, it can cause bloating or stomach discomfort. And then there's the whole celery juice cleanse craze. Celery juice has some benefits, but it is not a magic detox. Now, how does celery actually fit into a fitness routine? Let's say you are cutting, trying to shed fat while keeping your muscle. Celery can be your best friend in between meals. Instead of reaching for chips, you crunch on celery sticks. Want to make it more exciting? Dip it in a hummus, guacamole, or Greek yogurt dip. You are still keeping the calories under control but adding protein or healthy fats to make it more satisfying. For muscle gain, celery might not be your first go to because it is not calorie dense, but it can still help. Think about those times you are in a bulk phase and you are eating a lot of heavy meals. Sometimes you just need something light and crunchy to balance things out. Celery can act as a palate cleanser, something fresh that does not weigh you down but keep you on track. Here's an analogy I like to use. If your fitness journey is like building a house, the big thing, protein, carb, fats, those are your bricks and cement. Celery, that's more like the insulation. It does not look like much, but it keeps everything balanced, comfortable, and running smoothly. You would not build a house out of insulation alone, but you also would not want to skip it. Personally, I think one of the best ways to include celery is a part of a clean eating ritual. I will chop up a bunch of celery, carrots, cucumber, and keep them in the fridge. That way, when I'm hungry but I don't want to destroy my macros, I can grab something crunchy right away. It is like to preemptive strike against bad snacking decisions. Because let's be real, the hardest part of cutting is not the workouts. It is those quiet moments at 9 p.m. when the pantry starts calling your name. So where does this leave us? Celery is not a magic bullet. It is not going to make fat melt off your body overnight. And it is not going to replace the hard work you put in the gym. But it is a smart tool. It helps you up, hydrates you, supports recovery, and gives you that satisfying crunch that makes dieting a little less painful. Before we wrap up, let me give you a little teaser for the next episode. We have talked about celery, the unsung hero of cutting. But what about the flip side? Foods that seem healthy but could actually be holding you back. In our next video, we are going to uncover one of the most underrated so-called superfoods in the fitness world and break down whether it's really helping you or just hype. Trust me, you won't want to miss this one. Alright, that's it for today's deep dive on celery. If you got some value for this video, make sure to stick around because Born and Diet is all about bringing you the real, unfiltered breakdown on fitness foods. Until next time, keep crunching, keep moving, and keep building the best version of yourself.